Hello, and a very special honor roll welcome to Kayt, who you might know better as It's a Map on Instagram, TikTok, across all the usual social channels. Is that right, Kayt?
Most of them, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, the ones that matter.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We're here to talk about, unsurprising to people, maps, map making, cartography, fantasy cartography, whether that's on the scale of a continent or right down to the narrow little valley you stupidly walked into, realizing it's a perfect place for an ambush. So, without further ado here, could you tell us, for the people watching along and maybe watching along in the VODs, a little bit about your TTRPG map making journey? How you got into it, how long you've been making maps, and where people might be able to find you to commission maps for their games?
Yeah. Well, I've been playing D&D myself for about 16 years, and then COVID came. So everybody went online. And I think it was a friend of mine who mentioned he had come across this program that he thought I might enjoy, um, called Incarnate. And I used his account for maybe a week or two, and then I was like, no, I love this. I need this for myself. So straight away I was kind of like hooked into it. Just because I've always loved D&D, and I always loved, like, I'm a very visual person. I need maps really for I'm not very good at theater of the mind type stuff. So yeah, so I just got into it through that. Started off with very simple buildings, not a lot of detail. But then I guess nice to go back and look at those maps now and see the things I would want to change so much. But
Yeah, of
it's
course.
just a process. Like you're always learning when you're doing it.
100%. I look at I'd be opposite to you in that I don't mind theater of the mind, but I do love world maps, town maps, any of those kind of what feel like physical props that my player would have. Like you go into a town, it's like, can I get a map of the town? And I often draw them out myself and try to kind of figure out neat ways, or to be honest, sometimes just go straight onto Google Maps and like trace a town I know well enough. So like in Homebrew,
Yeah.
one of the towns the party visited was literally just Dingle, like but printed and made fantasy. So at least when I was saying like, okay, you take a left here, there's a little bridge, I could picture it in my mind.
Yeah.
But what about you? How do you go about making maps? Or do you have a certain process? Is it different every time?
It kind of depends on what I'm making it for. So if it's like a commission map, then obviously I would have it back and forth with whoever needs whatever they need. But when it's myself just for the crack or for, like, we are starting a Patreon in the Emerald Collective, so I'm
Mm.
kind of banking maps as I go. And sometimes it can be just as simple as scrolling through the assets and seeing, oh, that looks like a cool, I don't know, scary face. What could I do with that? Or that's a hand. Oh, what could be in the hand? It's just seeing what's there can sometimes, you know, inspire something in you. Or sometimes I do literally dream maps. I'm like, okay, maybe that would be a cool map to try and put into some sort of reality. I think just because I do, it's like I'm at it every day because I love it, and um, it's just something I really enjoy. I think when you're doing something that much, it is in your mind all the time. You go, oh, I did that map, but I wonder if I could do, like, sometimes there's a path that's leading off the map, and it's like, oh, where does that lead to now? Where could I, what kind of creepy thing could I have on the other end of this map? Things like that. Yeah, it's just about, I like just putting things down, especially if they're going to be used in a game, putting things down so that people will go, oh, what's that over there? Or what's that block doing there? Or just random little items, I think, as well. It's great for adding to the stories.
I think you bring up a really important point there where it's like maps and especially battle maps are often, I'd say players are often guilty of ignoring parts of it, just kind of thinking, okay, it's a grid, but it's sort of a nicely decorated grid. And it's like the lovely thing about TTRPG map making is you can give resources to the players. You can leave clues for the DM. It's a living, breathing space. And I
Mm.
would encourage anyone who does play with maps to like check things out, like do inspect things. You don't always need a high perception to use your own eyes and go, well, hang on a second, that looks like a little brazier in the corner, and it looks like it's flimsily held together by a chain rope, but I reckon I could kind of knock that over. But before we get into hidden elements, because we will chat about that a little bit later, Do you have any tips for anyone watching along, or handy tricks that you might use when using Incarnate?
Well, the Incarnate has actually just recently released a thing that is life-changing when it comes to making maps, for making buildings, for making like cliffs and stuff. It used to be section by section, stamp by stamp, but now you can literally draw a line. It can be straight, it can be curved, and then you can pick what kind of wall it is, what kind of cliff it is, what kind of, it's made it a lot easier, I think, and a lot more accessible, because it doesn't take so much time to build a building, or it's not millions and millions of stamps. It's just pull it across, and then you can actually put little gaps into it for doors and windows, and just makes it a lot less time consuming. That if you go, I don't like that door there, I want to move it, you don't have to go looking for a stamp. You can just move the thing. So that's been really helpful. And I think as well, Incarnate themselves, they do a lot of video. Like I think they do a video every month or two on YouTube, just to kind of give you tricks to make your map to look more real, remembering to put in shadows and wear and tear on the floor, which that was something I was very guilty of in the beginning. Everything was too clean and too neat, and nobody's house looks like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, putting in like a little bit of wear and tear on the floor or things like that, it really brings a kind of a sense of realism to the maps, I think, and it helps the immersion aspect of it.
As someone who, when I DM, I don't bring like the props I bring or the things I bring to the table, the prep I would do. It's usually long term, and something that has stopped me from, because I love drawing, I love making maps, and I love creating spaces. But something that stopped me has been the time consumption of it. But it's great to hear there that the tools are now in place, that you have something in your mind, draw it out, quickly whip it up. It's enough of a visual aid for your players to get a sense of where they are. And I suppose for a DM, you have to balance the time you spend making a map versus the time that's spent at the table, where players are like, okay, so what's here? Where's that? Okay, remind me again where I am. Okay, so where are we in the order? So like,
Yeah,
you are saving time potentially by
yeah.
doing a little bit of prep in advance. Um,
Because another
speaking,
good program is, sorry for cutting across you
oh
there.
no, no, no.
Dungeon Alchemist is great for that. It's another program because you can literally go make me a tavern, press a button, and it will populate the tavern with chairs, with bars, with whatever. And then you literally can move things around if they don't sit right or whatever. But it uses like a program that builds whatever it is you're looking for, from creepy cemeteries to pubs and things like that. So if you were looking
Mm,
for a very quick map that you just want to have done for you, basically, it's
yeah,
much quicker.
yeah,
Um, I
that's good
I
to
still
know.
prefer Incarnate because it's got a bit more, I don't know, stuff. It's the
Yeah.
only word I can think of.
I think I'd be the same as you as well, because I sometimes find um in the process creativity exists in the way. So like you're familiar with the space, the time you spend in something, and literally building a world or building a map allows you, especially if you're kind of doing it for a game you're running, to those little clues, like, no, I know where that is because I spent time on it, versus like, where's, you'd almost be looking yourself if you're not familiar with the world you're building. So I wonder if you could share with us, um, it might be a little bit of an off-topic question, but when you're sitting down, when you are creating your maps, do you have a working playlist? What do you like to listen to, if you listen to anything? Or do you have a ritual before you begin, where it's, I gotta get my cup of tea, I gotta get my biscuits ready, and here we go, map time? Talk us through a
Eh,
moment in making maps.
I mean, it kind of depends on the day. If it's the one that I'm not really looking forward to making, then it's usually like I'll just put something on my iPad, some inane program that I would not normally watch, and it not even really watch it, but just to have the background noise kind of helps. And but if it's something I'm excited about doing, like I will usually have some cheesy goth rock on. I love that real cheesy, like
Yeah,
get big guitars and deep man voices, or a bit of metal, but yeah, not really too loud because the dog wouldn't be a huge
of
fan.
course.
But yeah, or else sometimes she's accompanying me here on the desk and helps by walking across. Um, but yeah, yeah, I would always have to get my drinks and my like a snack so that I'm not going right. I just want to sit down and do this. because you can get a bit distracted
Mm.
and you're like, I don't know, I don't mean too much time, but you can spend too much time, more time than
Yeah.
you need, more time than is going to be appreciated. So yeah, so that would really be my process, just kind of, okay, let's go. Let's, do the
Yeah,
thing.
I think it's nice to have one because, as you say, it helps keep you focused on a task that you can easily lose yourself in. I think it's either the Pixar studios or a studio like that who had a phrase, polishing the penny, which is just you're spending weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks just getting something perfect without thinking, let's take a step back. Is this
Yeah.
as
This is
necessary?
tiny.
Yeah.
Zoom back out. Yeah. I can be kind of guilty of that. And especially if it's for a commission, because I'm always like, am I doing enough? Is this what the person, because you're aware that you're trying to fulfill somebody else's brain
Mm.
picture. So I will always kind of go, spend a bit more time going in and out and just trying to, make sure that I'm getting everything down in the hopes that I'm getting it the right way. So thankfully I usually do. So yeah.
That actually brings up something we touched on a little bit earlier, and one thing I love about your maps is the level of detail. So please never stop getting lost in the weeds. But is there, do you have a favorite player moment or kind of, your maps are used a lot in the Emerald Collective streams, and because it's rich with detail, something that a player has noticed and interacted with, or um, something you put, maybe it doesn't have to be kind of hidden, but like a detail you paid attention to that then led to this wonderful in-game moment. Has there been any kind of stories from the table like that?
Yeah, there has been one. There's a creature. There's a character even in one of the games, Run Saga, called Scales, who is a very young dragonborn who is just amazed by everything. And there was a map I did probably about 18 months ago. It was the entrance to a mine. I was literally just looking for stuff that looks kind of industrial, and there was this block with a chain coming out of it, and I was like, that looks like it fits. So I just put it in the map, kind of not thinking about it. And Scales, first thing, was like, oh, what's this? What's this? So it has become now a thing. It's called the plug.
Mm.
So I sneak it into maps, or sometimes they will ask me to put it into maps to see if it's noticed. So it has kind of become a thing that it's been, repeated over time. Nobody knows what it is or where it goes. I don't know what it is or where it goes, but it was just something that was picked up on by that player. Or even like there was a tree one time and it looked like it might be lemons, but she wasn't sure. So it was like, okay, these are not lemons. And then at them, and it was a whole like, what's a not lemon? What's this going to do to me? And I think it caused some effect on her or something. But yeah, just little like at the minute in Carrot, they've really added to the clutter aspect,
Mm.
and they have they've done some Eastern stuff, so they have these beautiful little origami cranes, which I love, hiding everywhere. Like
Yeah.
I did a map in a sewer that's supposed to be like Thieves Guild type map, and on the bar, at the end of the bar, I was really sad. Nobody noticed, but there was about five of them in a row. I was like, that would have been a real
Mm.
kind of, you kind of want somebody to go and interact with it, to go, oh, I
Yeah.
wonder what the GM will do with this, where they'll go.
But that's it. It's the wonderful part of giving, it doesn't have to be maps in a TTRPG game, but often it is giving players breadcrumbs or little resources or just places for them to launch and springboard off in their games, which I love. And
Yeah.
is there
Mhm.
so origami cranes and the plug, are there any other signature elements that we could look out for in an It's a Map creation?
Well, if there's a building, there will always be a toilet. Because I live with Crohn's disease myself, so unfortunately
Mhm.
toilets are quite important.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what kind of building I am making, there will be a loo somewhere. Which has been mentioned to me when I was down at AdventureCon. A couple of
Mm.
people came to me and said it to me, and I was like, oh, because they had Crohn's as well, and they were aware of the thing. So that is
Yeah.
one thing that you would definitely notice. And I think maybe just the amount of clutter in my maps, perhaps. But yeah, I would hope, but I wouldn't know if I have a style really. I just go where my brain goes, really.
Yeah, no, it's nice, and it's, as you say, it's lovely looking back on maps, and it's like it is a never-ending journey of creation. I'm sure in 5 years from now you'll look back on maps today and be like, oh, that's where
Yeah.
I was.
And it's nice
Um,
when that happens, because like even sometimes I'll see a map on stream and I go, oh, I wonder who made that. And afterwards I go, oh, that was yours. Because my memory is shot. I go, did I make that really? I don't remember making that. And you kind of get that little, oh, go me,
yeah,
proud.
that's really really nice. I suppose it's this might be an unfair question. Do you have a favorite map that you've ever made?
I do at the minute. I have a favorite that's actually my desktop background. It's for the Arcanist district in Artex in the Saffron Saga, and I don't use the isometric stuff
Mm.
very often. I find it kind of hard to get my head around, but I spent some time and did it, and I can kind of imagine walking around it now. It just looks so pretty, and there's loads of lovely things there, and it just kind of, yeah, that's my favorite at the minute. So that's my background as we speak.
It's a trait we both share. Viewers of the show will remember from a couple of episodes ago, but God, like, who knows how long ago. But I tried to do a hand-drawn isometric kind of style, and I'm not good at it. I just can't.
It's
I
hard.
I understand the theory. I think I'm like I get it, but like, and I suppose grids are really useful for that because you can just follow the lines, but they just end up when I see a beautiful one. It's almost like they know how to draw within the lines, but then also know when to break the line. And that's something my brain just hasn't twigged for me yet.
Yeah.
Um, but it leads me to my one of my closing questions for you today, and I'm sure we'll have you back on to talk about maps and everything else under the sun in future episodes as well. But what do you think makes a good TTRPG map maker?
I think somebody who is a bit silly, maybe, to be honest.
Hmm.
Who I don't know, who just enjoys the crack of playing TTRPGs, that understands, like, I know obviously there's different worlds and stuff, but the general idea of what D&D should be. And yes, there's serious things happening in these worlds, and there's massive catastrophes, but there's also silliness and like origami cranes, and there's
Mhm.
there's silliness that can be got. And I think the best games I've ever played are where we've laughed for most of the game, just
Yes.
because of the silliness. And I think that's an important thing to keep um in mind when you're making maps, even if it's it's going to be for a big serious battle or whatever. I always like to try and just put something in that kind of, even if nobody else notices, and maybe somebody watching at home goes, why is that there? Just yeah, I think you have to, well, I think as well you have to be somebody who enjoys playing
Mm.
TTRPGs. Otherwise, I don't think you would enjoy it. I haven't made maps for Warhammer. I've never actually
Mhm.
played it myself, but I get the general gist of it. But yeah, I think it has to be something you're interested in. And like from myself as a child, I would love making maps. I would make
Mm.
treasure maps for my brother and color them with old tea bags and all that kind of stuff. So it's always been something I've enjoyed. So I've been really happy that in the last 3 or 4 years, I think it's 3 years, that I've gotten to do it again.
Yeah, it's something aside from all the negative stuff I'd have to put up with if this was true, but it's something I lament that I wasn't born in an era that cartography would be, uh, you know, a viable career in a way
Yeah,
that
I
it's like
know.
out I pop and let's go draw some maps. Because I'd be similar as a kid, making treasure maps, making trails, making um it's just something I find fascinating. It used to be before I knew what the term fantasy genre was, I knew if the book had a map in the front,
Yeah,
I'd enjoy it.
yeah,
And
yeah, exactly. There's just something
yeah.
about it, because you can kind of, when you have a map of something, even like we have here, like the Goonies map,
Mm,
like framed and stuff. I think it's because you're able to, like you were saying earlier, you can put yourself there, and then you're
yeah.
walking this way and then you're walking that way. So it's a good way to kind of immerse yourself in it. And I think when you're a kid, like anything like that just sends your imagination going. So I think that's why, like, a lot more people than I realized did it, like, as well. Um so yeah, so I think it's just to not lose the enjoyment of it.
Mm. It's something and this is sort of a little bit outside of tabletop games, but it's something I realized about myself that I don't do well in real life places that are quite flat. If I don't have a sense of perspective, like something in the very far distance, something in the middle foreground, something near me, it's why I live in quite a mountainous town. I just don't know how to. I'm like, where I have no sense of direction then. And it might be I'm making a tenuous link between my love of maps and my real world brain that goes, where am I? But it's I think
Where
it's a
have I
nice
been
thing about
spent?
yeah, like it's a nice thing about Ireland that you can often just find yourself on a hill and be like, oh, I can see the town. Oh, I can see the city beyond that. Oh, I can see somewhere even further and beyond that. And
You're
it's a
never
great
too far
skill.
away from somewhere.
This is it. Being able to see somewhere on a map and then walk there and be like, oh, I made it there. Right.
Yeah.
Um,
Then your
well,
brain is able to like
this
put
is
it in
it.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm often the leader on friend holidays, which is like everyone else is head down on their phones or not paying attention. It's like Ben knows where he's gone. He
Who's his
seems to have a good
phone?
sense. Yeah, it's like, and then
Do you
often
have a
I'll,
little flag and all that you
oh, I wish. No, no, I've and to be honest, and we should cut back to the studio, but I'm having too much fun. Um, I have taken sharp turns at points and then realized 5 minutes down the road, oh, I've left everyone else somewhere behind. They've continued on. So, if you have a map follower in your party group, roll high in your perception. Don't
yes.
make it the rogue, I suppose,
Don't
is the
lose them. Yeah.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and chatting about maps. Is there anything you want to leave us with? Could you actually remind us where the audience can find you if they do want commissions or anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah, if you want to hit me up or want to have a look at some of my stuff, if you look at It's a Map IRE on Instagram, you'll see all my maps. TikTok, there's stuff on there, but I don't really get TikTok. And Twitter, because I refuse to call it the other name. I'm on there as well. And yeah, just hit me up on any of those places. You will see my maps being used, as Ben already said, on the Emerald Collective, a good few of the games there. And we're actually starting a Patreon come May 1st. So there will be maps included in that as well. As well as monsters and items, which is exciting. We're all very excited about the start of it.
Yes.
So yeah, so I've been really hunched over here making maps for for a while, but yeah, so really excited about that coming out and to be part of it. It's been really nice.
Great. Well, we'll cut back to you guys in the studio.